Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the MKM Stadium, as it is now called here in Hull. We're going to start immediately with the team news off the bat because it's just been released. You can see our view there. We're absolutely in the gods today, which for someone who really enjoys heights is an excellent thing, but that doesn't matter anyway. Norwich City's lineup: Tim Krul in goal, Max Aarons, Andrew Omavamidele, and Grant Hanley and Jakob Sorensen at the back. McLean, Nunez and Dowell are midfield three, according to the graphic the club have put out. Cantwell on the right, Milo Rashica on the left, Timu Pukki up front. Subs bench: Angus Gunn, Ben Gibson, Liam Gibbs, Onel Hernandez, Danel Sanani, Aaron Ramsey and Josh Sargent. So that's Norwich City's team. Pad, to throw it over to you. I mean, we probably expected Sorensen to go in at left back, but there was probably a little bit of debate as to who would slot into the midfield and what that midfield would look like in terms of makeup. It's Kieran Dow who gets the nod. Is that something that you were probably expecting, given, I guess, his performance on Tuesday evening?
Well, I mean, Dean Smith, more to the point, his view is the one that matters, really, Connor, and he was unprompted post-match Tuesday, very effusive in his praise for Dowell. I thought Dowell was good, actually, in the first half particularly. Felt he faded a little bit, but as somebody who they want to get on the ball and has that technical ability to switch the play, I thought we saw evidence of that, and Dean Smith certainly felt that was the case, and that's been proven by his lineup that he's announced in the last few minutes. So, yeah, I'm looking immediate thoughts. I mean, I thought Sanani, another one he picked out as doing very well midweek, and maybe advanced his claims potentially to be in the mix. Just have a look at how they're saying they're lining up. I mean, they've got him in you probably said that was a 4-1-4-1, Connor, looking at the club's graphic there. So I thought if they went 3-3, then maybe Sanani was a good shout to slot in there. But McLean, based on the club's graphic, holding in front of the back four. We all expected, obviously, Sorensen to come in on the left-hand side after the news on Friday. Confirmation from Dean Smith that, unfortunately, Sam McCallum's had to have surgery on a broken metatarsal. So that back four plus Krul is as I think most of us expected. McLean, Nunez, yeah, not surprised there. Rashica, Cantwell, given he's fit, he was rested in midweek. And Pukki, yeah, I don't think there was much debate there. So it probably was just the Dowell selection, really. One or two, maybe pushing the claims of young Liam Gibbs. I think that's probably a bridge too far at this stage to be starting games in the Championship. But he certainly make a compelling case for more inclusion. So if you take him out of the equation, then for me it was probably Sanani or Cantwell. And Dean Smith has obviously gone, Sanani or Dowell. And Dean Smith has gone with Dowell. Probably a bit more experience at this level. And immediate thoughts, I like that. I think there's a nice balance. McLean will be the anchor. Hopefully that frees Nunez and Dowell to get forward. And as we all know, it's that top end of the pitch, really, for me. Yes, I know they leaked a couple of goals midweek, but it was a different sort of setup, really, different personnel in the main. This is the real business. This is, in Dean Smith's opinion, probably his strongest 11 available. And it's just about, can they unlock what we know Timu Pukki has at this level, which is goals, goals, goals. So I want to see a lot more from Rashica for me today. I don't think he started the season in the way you'd like to have. Thinking dropping down a level, he'd be really able to leave a lasting impression on games. We've not seen that as yet. And if he doesn't perform today, then personally, I'll be very happy to see Sanani get a bit of a run in the side, because I don't think Rashica so far is justifying his place for me.
Yeah, a couple of noticeable omissions from that matchday squad. As a lot of people are pointing out, no Gabriel Sara in Norwich City's matchday squad today. We'll obviously put that to Dean Smith post-match. No Jordan Hugill as well, although I would imagine that is just because of different options. Obviously, Aaron Ramsey on the bench, hoping to make his league debut for Norwich. I'll read you the whole team, and then we'll come to those absences, Pad. They've got Ingram in goal, Coyle, Elder, Greaves and Jones, Figueiredo, Tufan, Siad Manesh, Estupinen, they did send an audio guide of how to pronounce these names. I should have listened to it a bit more closely. Slater and Teta, the two, and their subbench: Baker, Cannon, McLaughlin, Wilkes, Williams, Jones, and Coville. But Pad, no Gabriel Sara, which is probably the headline one. We obviously saw him on Tuesday. He got over an hour. He played a really good pass to Jordan Hugill, actually, that set up the opening goal. I mean, Dean Smith has been very sort of cautious about how he's managed him, but obviously the fear, I guess, is maybe that there's a little bit of a setback there in terms of his recovery and his progress.
I think you'd have to say it must be fitness related with stress. We haven't spoken to Dean Smith at this point. Our last touch point with Dean Smith was yesterday morning, and the way they scheduled the training yesterday, they trained in the afternoon. So is it that final training session? Because there was no indication. Put it directly to Dean Smith. having mapped out McCallum was unavailable, was there any other issues from the guys who played midweek against Birmingham? He said no. But as I say, that was Thursday morning. They trained in the afternoon. I think I saw the video they put out that Sarah was in those training video pictures. So he clearly took part in that training session. So as he felt something thereafter, and of course we will put that to Dean Smith post-match, because I don't see any, fair enough, that first 60 minutes or so in 3 months, really. If he hadn't started today, I don't think it would have raised an eyebrow. But the fact he's not on the bench, that does indicate that there is probably an issue there. And fingers crossed it isn't anything untoward. I get the sense. I mean, there's no Adam Eder, is there, again? So Dean Smith did say he wouldn't be involved this weekend, but in the manner that he's very loath to risk, if there's a risk element there. Maybe he just feels with Zara, that first outing in 3 months, if he's reported a little bit of, stiffness or soreness, tightness, muscular-wise, don't take any risks. We can see how relentless the schedule is. They've got the depth in the midfield areas, as proven by the selection today even. We will get a full update from Dean Smith on Zara. Hugo, well, that's an interesting one as well. I mean, I'm looking again. I mean, in terms of options, Sargent is an out-and-out forward. Hernandez could do a job there, but it does strike me as a bit of a strange one. But what has Dean Smith said a couple of times in the past 7 days, he's got no issue with good players being sat in the stand, because that tells him and should tell Norwich fans and tell us in the media that, he has plentiful options and he can name a strong 11, strong bench. And we know how important that bench could be this season. Dean Smith touched on this yesterday with his ability to make 5 changes and an expanded number of subs on the bench available. Maybe it just underlines with Hugo, subject to Dean Smith saying different after the game, that, even making the matchday squad is going to be quite a task for some players. But, Zara is a concern. But, let's not speculate. And, in a matter of hours, we'll get a firm update from Dean Smith and then we'll go from there.
In terms of that midfield three and how it sets up, I think people, having watched Marcelinho and Nunez, very intense player, but perhaps not the most physical. Same with Kieran Dow. Kenny McLean, obviously, we're expecting a deeper role today. Is there a little bit of a concern about how that operates out of possession? There obviously seems to be quite a bit of creativity in there. So hopefully we don't reach the end of this afternoon talking about Norwich City struggling to create chances again. But in terms of how it operates in defensive stages and out of possession, is that a little bit of a concern for you, the way it's kind of made up with Nunez and Dow, probably the 2-8s in that system?
Well, time will tell, Connor. Time will tell. But I think McLean, physically, the engine he's got on him, he can do that screening role. And I must confess, I don't know enough to sort of opine about how Hull will set up and how they've gone about the task. Are they a side who want to be out of possession and countering, or are they a side who want to dominate possession? Simply can't really, talk with any great insight on the Hull side. But maybe this 11 and the way Dean Smith has moulded his midfield is a reflection of that. I mean, clearly what you'd hope to flip that the other way. We're talking about defensive concerns, maybe if they get turned over and the lack of protection for the back four. But if you've got Nunez, you've got Dal, you've got Cantwell, and you've got Rashika, then that's a quartet who should be able to dictate greater possession of the ball with that greater territory. And maybe we'll flick it as a positive, and it's Dean Smith wanting to get on the front foot, wanting to set Norwich's stall out. He said it again yesterday. It's more about Norwich and what they can do and what his side can do that concerns him, rather than trying to counteract maybe what the opposition do. And on the evidence of the first 2 championship games, they need to be better going forward. They need to be better with the ball. There needs to be a better connection in terms of the creative players with Pukki. And maybe this is another attempt at that today, to bed that in, because ultimately, without that, they won't score goals, they won't win games, and they won't be at the top end of the table, hopefully challenging to go back to the Premier League. So, me personally, no, not with Kenny McLean in there. I mean, Nunez is a bit of an athlete as well, from what I've seen, albeit not the biggest physical presence. But Sorensen is probably worth pointing out. He's not. I don't think we've seen any evidence that as a fullback, he's one of those whose first instinct is to get beyond his wide player and get to the byline. He's a bit more conservative in his approach, so maybe they have that cover with him in that back four.
Yeah, exactly. It's an interesting point. I think Hull have lined up in a 3-4-1-2 in the last few games. variation of a three at the back. So that's probably an interesting challenge for how Norwich go about sourcing some creativity around that. Those formations can be quite testing at times, particularly against a lone striker in Timu Pukki, but you can have a little bit of space down either side to hopefully work in. It's going to be interesting to see how Norwich gauge that. But in terms of performance levels, Pat, we obviously saw them against Wigan last weekend where they drew. They're still looking for their first championship win here today. Is it just that final third that we're looking at with Norwich City at this moment in time and saying if they can get the elements right in that particular part of the pitch, then they've probably got too much quality in terms of individually for their oppositions, whoever that may be at this level?
Well, you'd hope so. You'd hope so. I think it's still early in the championship season to say that it's simply an equation of if Norwich connect at the top end of the pitch, then they should have enough for too many championship rivals. I mean, it's hard to assess just who the main runners and riders are going to be in this race now. You see Watford winning last night, albeit Burnley will feel a bit unfortunate, but 7 points already on the board and beaten in 3. They look to be building a bit of momentum, and that's, for me, the key at this stage. I don't think we need to look too far beyond the horizon and what this season will hold ultimately for Norwich. It's just sooner rather than later, can we see enough from Norwich that is capable of coming to a place like this? Club who, not all that long ago, a bit longer than Norwich, but not all that long ago, were Premier League grade, clearly have aspirations to get back there, as Cardiff did on the opening weekend, as Wigan, you could argue, last weekend. That's the league Norwich are in, and you just hope they have enough quality in their ranks to tip the balance, because ultimately, as was proven that opening day, anybody who felt Norwich was going to be able to turn up and had better players and would roll over teams, you can forget that, because that's not the Championship. Norwich will have to match the physical elements and the competitiveness that I'm sure they'll get here today from this Hull side. And then you hope, if there's a cohesiveness, that we start to see a bit more. And Dean Smith was right, I think, in his assessment that Wigan to Cardiff was a step forward in terms of with the ball, but by no means perfect, clearly, because they didn't get the win on the board. So he'll be looking for another step forward today. And another step forward for me is real evidence that they can connect to Pukki, they can provide him with the service he desires. And if they do that, I've got no doubts this man will score goals again in this league for the third season running. So it's just about, can they unlock Timu Pukki's goal scoring potential? And if they do that, then, you would like to think most weeks in this league, they'll have a very good chance of getting results. But the longer it goes and they don't pick a win, they don't score the goals, they don't have that cutting edge, the inevitable questions will grow. Have they got enough in this group? Is Dean Smith really getting the most out of the resource? And at the minute, there's 1,500 here today. I think there's a few of them would probably say the jury's out on that one.
Absolutely. I'm going to get you to spin your laptop round, Pad, so we can have one final look at the stadium before we close off. It's Norwich City searching for their first championship win here today. It's going to be very interesting to see how it unfolds. Hull's still somewhat of an unknown quantity. The Norwich fans are in that corner as you look there. You may be able to see a smattering of yellow shirts, although it does feel like we're quite away from them this afternoon. I don't know if we're going to have any fans in this upper tier. It doesn't particularly look like that at this stage. So it's going to be interesting to see how much are in here, how much noise they can generate. We saw at Cardiff what impact an away crowd can have in the Championship. Norwich, of course, didn't have that in their title-winning campaign 2 years ago. Let's see if they can join the dots. Let's see if they can walk away from Humberside with 3 points. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, the Pink and Plus app is the place to go for coverage this afternoon. I'm on the live matchday blog. You can come and join me at pinken.com as well. And if you want to take out a trial for the app, you can get a month free. Go on the pinken.com website. Top left, there's a tab called Pink and Plus. Click on that. Follow all the instructions, and you can unlock plenty of exclusive content. That'll do us, I think. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy your afternoon. Enjoy this weather. It's not too bad up here at the moment. Hopefully it stays that way. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon.